Later this spring, we will be issuing draft recommendations regarding a statewide residential rate setting methodology. And many of you, or if you're affiliated with a residential provider organization, you've already been notified about those opportunities in April to provide input into that residential rate setting methodology. I know that you heard from other speakers that in the absence of that statewide methodology, that MCOs have been using different methodologies, and we agree that part of creating a statewide and consistent program is to use consistent tools across the state. And so that residential rate setting methodology process will get underway next month. We, like you, have been working very hard to make sure that member services can continue and that we are providing sufficient financial support to the managed care organizations to make sure that that occurs. One of the new relationships and partnerships that the Department of Health Services has engaged in beginning in January of this year is a relationship with the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance. And what that partnership does is actually help provide to the family care program the expertise that the Office of Commissioner of Insurance has in terms of monitoring solvency and financial requirements related to the operation of HMOs. And that partnership means that it's not just the department who is certifying or indicating whether or not an individual MCO is in a financial position to continue to operate, but through our partnership and agreement with the Office of Commissioner of Insurance, they actually are offering certificates. They actually are monitoring the financial situation of the MCOs, and they issue a certificate of operation. Despite the very stressed financial situations that a number of the MCOs encountered late into the year 2009, I can say with confidence that our OCI has issued certificates to all of those managed care organizations to operate in 2010. And is working closely with the department in terms of how to make sure that there are adequate funds and reserves in order to make sure that member services are not disrupted. Aside from that, I think that one of the other topic areas that hasn't been touched on today, but one that I think is important to think about, though, is as we're talking about whether do we have the right, as MCOs are still in an early development stage, if we resolve the financial issues, might there be other issues that would disrupt member services? And are there advantages to creating what I'm calling healthy redundancy in the system so that we make sure that we can continue to provide member services to individuals regardless of whether or not a particular MCO might be in the status to be able to do that. And so part of my planning effort this year will be to think about what would it look like. Obviously, we can't go back to counties who have already dismantled their infrastructure for family care, but thinking about how do we make sure that we have the maximum protection for members so that we always have someone who's available to provide coverage and services to those individuals. We also, as many of you know, this was the first time that we asked the managed care organizations to submit a 3-year business plan, and October was the first time they received those business plans, and it really gives the opportunity to think longer term about the sustainability and viability of the managed care organizations. And there's no doubt that the rate of rapid expansion that we have previously experienced has strained not only all of yours, but their financial resources as well. And the ability to have a business plan and one that gets updated on an annual basis, that has performance standards, that has expectations, I think will go a long way along with our relationship with OCI to making sure that we have a very sustainable system as we continue with family care. And we are recognizing that, as some of the other speakers mentioned as well, that if the experience in our most recent expansion may not be the same experience that the pilot counties experienced in terms of how long it took for them to make the transition financially and programmatically from the waiver programs to the family care model. Our experience in the pilot programs was that it took a 3-year period for that to happen. Our experience more recently is that that's probably a longer time. Until we do an analysis, I'm reluctant to say what that time is, but basically we're acknowledging that because service plans and rates were different across some of the more recent expansion areas, that it's just going to take some effort to think about how we planfully, carefully, and again with a member-centered approach, make sure that we're making that transition to family care appropriately. Other items on our agenda for this year are clearly, I think it's not widely known that actually the capitated rates get assessed every single year, so they're not sort of a flat, stagnant structure in terms of both the composition and about the information that goes into that rate structure. I know that there have been a lot of questions about how were those developed. I think we can provide opportunities to talk some more about the capitated rate structure and what goes into that. But the message I want to leave with you today is that as we have more experience with family care, as we get better and more reliable data, all of that information feeds into the rate development that occurs with our actuarial firm. Personally, I am recognizing that provider relations is a major initiative for this year, and I am committed, as are others on our staff, to effectively communicating with providers and stakeholders and engaging you as we continue to work on the key policy areas and the implementation of family care. And I've also asked the leadership of all of the MCOs to come back to me with their proposal on how they plan on engaging providers in a broader way throughout the state. So many of you or your representatives came to 2 provider forums that I held at the end of February, and I appreciate the participation and particularly the feedback. And you should expect to hear more from me probably by the end of the month or early next month about other forms of communication. Because I clearly understand there's different levels of understanding of family care, different levels of understanding about how to impact providers and consumers, and that both the department and managed care organizations could do a better job of both communicating and, again, engaging and collaborating with you. So, in conclusion, I would just like to say that I have appreciated in the 7 months I've been with the department just all of the opportunities to hear from you, and I believe firmly that family care is succeeding. I think it can succeed to be the kind of program that we've heard from other speakers that we would like to see it be in its final form as it moves into a more mature stage. But would ask that you would continue to work together with all of the partners and all of us together in building really honest and trustful relationships that are built around problem solving so that we can meet the challenges of today, but more importantly, be prepared to provide a sustainable family care program in the future. So thank you.